Hi folks. When we last left our intrepid hero, and I leave it to you to decide whether I'm referring to Hans-Joachim Marseille, the German pilot sitting on top of the Hasegawa box, or myself. Hans-Joachim was actually not on the model box. He was on top of my display case. The model box from Hasegawa of the Messerschmitt Bf109F4, Marseille's plane in North Africa, was in the hobby room, and I was up in Redmond, awaiting and then recuperating from surgery. Not anywhere near my models. This kit, for those who have a good memory, is what I am building for the Ramblers 69, aka Tom White Appreciation Group Build. And I got a start on it, an inspiration, of course, because I'd done this wonderful pilot figure, resin figure, and figured, what the heck, I need a good plane for it. And what better way than to do it in an appreciation build. Now, when I opened the box, I discovered a very nice kit. No engine. It's kind of a simple model. I better be careful about saying that. But there's no engine inside. It's all sealed up. The only thing you see from the engine are the exhaust nozzles or ports or whatever coming out in the inverted Daimler-Benz from the inverted Daimler-Benz 601. So I said, well, I'm sure there's an aftermarket DB601, and of course there is from Eduard Brasson, Bf109E. Now the E, of course, is the Amil, the model series that preceded the Fs. That makes sense. Fought in the Battle of Britain as well as some other campaigns. The exterior of the F and the E are a fair amount different. There was very little difference in terms of size, a slight amount, in the actual 601 engine that was used, the DB engine that was used in the F series versus the E series. But there was no, I could not find an aftermarket F engine. I believe there are aftermarket engines for the G, the Gustav. Those I know are a little bit bigger, and I was sure that wouldn't fit. I was saying I'd rather have something a little too small than a little too big. So I did have this kit. In fact, I think, trying to remember if this kit I picked up here or no, I took it with me, I'm pretty sure. So I had this one to finish up, and I got the major components all put together and said, when I get back to Redmond, it's going to be fitting time. And of course, so what we've got now is the two pieces, main pieces of the fuselage, as well as the cover that covers the machine guns and the top of the engine compartment. Now, in the original model, that just sits on top of solid plastic because there is no engine underneath. And in the original model, those ports there are closed. It's just a shelf from which you put the stock exhaust ports. I'm not going to be doing that, of course. I needed to cut open those slots, and inside will go the exhausts from this engine. So let's see what we've got for a fit. So I spent the morning, that's a nice fit. I fit the morning, and lo and behold, the DB engine does fit. It might be off just a little bit, but I've still got obviously some trim and sanding to do around the edges of the fuselage. But the important thing was, can I get it to fit securely, line up the exhaust outlets, or from the, well, whatever they're called, from the engine in the right place, and it's all going to work. Now, of course, what would go on top of here on top of the inverted Daimler-Benz engine, the two machine guns. The F also has a 20mm cannon running through the engine, of which you see very little, and would never see very much unless you pulled the spinner off, and then you'd see the end of the muzzle coming through. But a friend of mine, Oleg, from Flying Circus Models, he and I were chatting today, and he suggested, well, maybe you want to open up the engine compartment so you can display, rather than have it mostly hidden, that DB engine. And, you know, that's a great idea, because what it'll involve, of course, is taking out this panel at the very least. If I just want to have half of the engine compartment opening up, pretty sure, and Oleg confirmed this, I'll have to check it with some research, there would be a spar or a centerpiece running along the center there, and then you've got a hinged hood that drops down on both sides. I think I'll just keep it closed over on the starboard side and open up the port side. Some careful cutting there. I think if it indeed is center lined, it's going to require a very careful surgery on the top of this. But I've got to investigate how that engine compartment looks when it's open. God knows, I'm sure there are plenty of reference information and photos, and I know modelers have done this already. Right now, I'm just so pleased about how nicely it all fits together. You know, I could go the easy route. Of course, there is a piece that goes right here, and that would be flipping open as well. The other side is solid. Let's turn it around here. So it's not quite symmetrical, but there's a little bit of a gap there. But again, nothing is glued yet. We just got some masking tape. And again, I remind you that the openings I've made still need to be sanded and fine-tuned so they look a lot more pristine. But we're getting there. This model actually does not have a lot of pieces. And I think, knocking on my table here, which is not wood, but we'll say knock on wood, that the most complicated process, provided I don't screw this up here, is really just going to be getting a nice livery on it and a good paint job. So that's where we are. If memory serves me correctly, I think I've got about 9.5 to 10 months before the deadline for the appreciation build. I'm going to get her done. And so that's Auf Wiedersehen from Hans-Joachim and myself. Take care, everybody. See you when I've got progress, at least with this project, some progress to show on the engine compartment. Bye-bye.